Welcome! It's a great day to be a miner because we got some new foreign hardware. We're going to unbox this thing, we're going to get it set up, we're going to go over the specs and the features and all that fun jazz. But first, let's spin that intro. Alright, so first and foremost, let's pop up the disclaimer. This was purchased with our own cold hard cash. That means the opinions in this video are that of our own. Yeah, this is not a paid sponsored video. This is more of a in the name of science type video, and we'll discuss why that is once we get this up and running. First off, big shout out to my man Ryan Blast from Carpoo's Mining. He's the one who kind of convinced me to get this, and he didn't go out and say it, but we'll dig into it first and then we'll talk about it. So, you know what time it is, baby. RGB knife. Engage. Never gets old. Okay, so you can tell from the clear packing material that this came straight out of China. This is an Aliexpress purchase. It is a Bitcoin solo miner. Man, this is gonna be rough. Let's just time warp and save you guys some pain and get this unboxed. Ready? Go. Boom! Just like that, we have time warped, baby. We got this thing unwrapped. Okay, so the box is pretty cool. So it says NerdQX++.
Oh, what's in the box?
But it shouldn't be a NerdQX++. If this is a NerdQX++, then we've already struck out before we even got going. So on the side, it shows some different variants, and none of these are what we purchased. The box is nice. It's color, has some different graphics on it, low power consumption, the Genesis block of Bitcoin, and it's got the code on the first block. The back has a pretty cool saying here. Finally, home-based open source mining has become a reality. Bitaxe, a fully open source ASIC miner designed with decentralization at its core, enables everyone to set up their own mining node at home and easily connect to the world's most powerful distributed network with just one click. Finally, a high-performance, cost-effective home mining solution built on the open source principle has finally officially launched. Okay, whatever. Yeah. We'll talk about the cost and the specs, and man, I hope this isn't a NerdQX++ because I'm going to be mad because that is not what we purchased. Alright, so the pamphlet on the top says Nerd Octaxe, which it shouldn't be one of those either. Nerd Octaxe, bitaxe, OS, you know, it's just that. I mean, this is a nice color guide, setup guide. We'll set that aside. Alright, so whew, it doesn't look like a NerdQX. That's the great thing. It's packed very well. We had a big foam block on top. Packed very well. Let's get this thing. Oh man, yeah. Okay. This is the NerdQX. NerdQX. This is the NerdQX, and we're gonna tell you what we think. Man, that power cord is chintzy skinny. So there's the power plug. This is a 12 volt 18 amp. That is nice. 216 watt PSU with an XT60 power connector. That is beefy. I do dig that. So that's a good start. That is all that is in this box. So let's get the... I think I've learned to stop leaving like breakable things right beside the unboxing table, but I digress. Let's get that out of the way. Okay, so what is this? This is a NerdQX. This is a variant, kind of like a NerdQX++, kind of like a nerd, like an Octaxe, Nerd Octaxe. Is that right? Nerd Octaxe. It's kind of a blend of those guys. But basically, this is the new Chinese release version of the NerdQX. If you want the real version, and we'll go on to the details of the real version versus the cheap version, make sure to go check out IXtech. We'll put links down in the description. Theirs is a beautiful, well put together, high quality device. I have much lower expectations for this at a much lower price tag. But the reason we picked this up today, let's give the background, is that Ryan Blass, our man Ryan Blass from Carpoo's Mining, recently picked up one of the NerdQXs from IXtech. He kept showing off the pictures, boasting about how the hash rate and how awesome it is, and I completely agree. Everything said that he has posted about it. However, we also, in the name of science, in a future video, we are going to push this thing to its limits and see if it can keep up with the much, much better assembled, the better IXtech version of this guy. We want to see what this guy can do, right? We want to see if this is worth picking up, worth purchasing, if we recommend this, or if we recommend staying 100% with the IXtech. So here it is. Let's take a close-up look at this thing, and then we're gonna go ahead and do the setup, get it mining, and see what it does right out of the box. So ready, go. Okay, she really is a good looking piece of hardware. I mean, you can, if you look really closely, you can see that it is cheaper made, and that is what it is. The 3D printed stand looks pretty decent. On the back, you've got your integrated fan, and it kind of has like a funnel design to blow directly onto the back of the components. The board itself has a slight gap where it's lifted up off. So as the fan blows up, it should push all the air around the board and out from under the board. The front of it has this big giant cooler, which looks pretty good. It is white. It has 6 heat pipes that drop down onto the cold plate. The cold plate looks to be secured pretty well with this bracket. We have the additional fan right here with the over top of the VRMs, with the 3D printed shroud to kind of hold it on. This heat sink under it is really dinky compared to the IXtech. That is a big thing that pops out to me. It does have the nice logo here printed into it. Your screen has the nice enclosure covering it, and then you've got your 30 amp fuse right here. And I think that's about it. So you've got 3 fans plugged into this guy. Power usage is going to be much higher. You see this little rubber pieces coming off of this cheapo fan. Has a Bitcoin logo in the middle of the fan, which is kind of cool, I guess. So yeah, let's go ahead and get this thing set up and see what it can do just stock out of the box. And then of course we'll tell you the price and what our thoughts on this thing are and whether or not you should buy it, of course. So physical setup, there's not much to it. It is 2 plugs, right? You're gonna plug in your wall plug that into your brick. You're gonna plug your brick into your miner, and that's gonna fire it up. Then we're going to go into the actual connecting this device to Wi-Fi. So this will broadcast a wireless network. Also, we're plugging it into the watt meter just to get a good feel of how much power it's using. Then once this thing will broadcast its own Wi-Fi network, you use a phone or mobile device to connect to it, and then you will set up your Wi-Fi, your connection to connect this device to your Wi-Fi network. Once you connect it to your Wi-Fi network, reboot, it will then get it a local IP address. Your router will give it an IP address so that they can talk, the router and this thing can talk together. It will no longer be connected to your mobile device. Since it'll have an IP address on the screen, you should be able to get it. You open a browser from either, again, your mobile device or a computer on the same network, go to the IP address in a internet browser, Chrome, whatever, and then from there you'll be able to change your pool and your worker name, and then you can mess with your overclocks, your fan speeds, and all that normal fun jazz. But yeah, let's go ahead and get the initial boot and see how she fires up. Don't explode, don't explode, don't explode, don't explode! I do like how well that XT60 connector seats fired up pretty loud. All 3 fans are whirling away. screen is on. The screen is kind of like the NerdQX++, except instead of purple, they're using the bluish purple highlights instead of like the bright purpley pink that the NerdQX uses. And so right here, it's telling you the Wi-Fi network. So we're gonna go ahead and do a quick setup of this, and then we'll come back. Like I said, this is not a hard process. If you need the full details on how to do a setup, check out the video above. We'll walk you through all the how to connect this thing, how to get your pool and all that stuff. But for now, we're just gonna time warp and have it set up. Ready? Go. And boom, future altered with an altered future. We are set up in mining. We've got it connected to our IP, then we plugged in our pool and worker, and we left the settings plugged in as it was. Something I thought was odd is that it jumped right to light mode on the dashboard, which isn't a big deal. But it's a little louder than I thought, is the first impression. I was thinking this would be quieter. Right here in front, it's showing about 63 decibels on the front. A little quieter on the back, 61-ish. So it does have a nice hum to it, just right on the stock settings as it were. So it is currently running right at 8 terahash. It is running an efficiency of about 16.92. We'll just pop that up on the screen as well. Yeah, so it's running about 8 terahash right off the stock clocks that it comes with, running an efficiency of about 16.9. It's showing a power usage in the software of 135 watts. However, the software lies. The software lies because at the wall, we are pushing a massive 177 watts at the wall. That is a huge disparity between what it's showing in the software versus at the wall. Again, these are stock clocks. So what are the stock clocks? I'll tell you that real quick. On the plus side, the temps on this thing look pretty good. One of the ASIC chips is running 70. So it's running 60, 70, 70, 66. I don't know why the one's clear up to 70 and the others are 60. It could just be a bad chip compared to the others, or it could just not have good coverage with the cold plate or contact with the cold plate. So yeah, the temps look really good. The VR temps look good at 46. I mean, that is a great VR temp. But since we're already running 170 plus watts, this power supply is a 216 watt power supply. 216 times 0.8. I mean, this is you're kind of already running it at 80%. I have no problem pushing these things up a little higher, running around 90%, but these types of bricks do die pretty quickly. So far, it's not even warm though, so that's a good sign. It's been running a while, it's not even warm. We'll do some thermal temps here after we let it run for a while. It's a pretty device. So the stock clocks, as I was saying, the stock clocks on this thing. Stock clock is running frequency of 1000 and a core voltage of 1300, which the frequency cannot go up anymore on the default sliders. Just by clicking the default slider drop downs, it can only go up to 1000. You could of course add more core voltage. There's many more settings for it. If we want to push the frequency up more, which we will, we'll have to do it by putting the $OC up in the browser. Boom. Okay, so we have let this thing run for a while and we're getting some numbers on it and just getting some stock frequencies and stock readings on it. It's noisier, just first impression. It's actually pretty nice for the cost. I think I paid like $360 for this. Plus a little bit extra for shipping. So it was less than $400 to door for this guy. So first impressions of it are, it's a pretty sleek device for the price. You're getting 8 terahashes right out of the box. You're running a decent efficiency. It's showing 17 joules per terahash, watts per terahash in the dashboard, but we know the disparity at the wall is much different. So it tells me that maybe this power supply is not very efficient, or just the calibration in the software is kind of lying on the numbers a bit. But either way, what we care about is really the true efficiency and not so much the efficiency that it's showing. True efficiency is not as good on this. It is much louder than my NerdQX++s. I found the hum. Okay, all the volume is coming from the VR fan. This little fan here is causing a lot of noise. It is a necessity, it is cooling the VRM temps. However, I think this setup is not very optimal right here. I know on the IXtech, they have a giant heatsink under. This thing has a little puny heatsink under here compared to the IXtech. It's still a beefy cooler underneath compared to, say, a NerdQX++. So there is that, but this fan is really loud on the current settings, just cranking away. So if you wanted to cool this thing, that would be what you would do. You would just get rid of this guy, change it out to a different type of fan, maybe put a Noctua right here, or change just this setup, because this is causing all the noise. Without it, noise drops drastically without that. Yeah, so that's where your noise is coming from. Let's do a quick look on our thermal scan and see if we find some hot spots on this thing. This thing is sick, by the way. Kind of hard to get it to focus on this. Okay, so we broke out our thermal scan and we ran it across here over the whole thing, and really there's no glaring hot spots. The most of the heat's coming out from under this fan here, on this heat sink, and of course up under here on the actual cold plate. That is the bulk of the heat. We ran it through the back. Most of the heat is showing through the fan area where it's blowing in and pushing out. So heat and the temps on this thing are pretty good. That gives us hope. That gives us hope that we can push this thing up, because circling back to Ryan and Carpoo's mining, we're gonna push this thing. We're gonna push this thing hard and see where we can get it. So our first problem is gonna be our power supply. I don't think we're gonna be able to push this power supply to the max of what this miner will be able to do. So we may have to make a cut or buy a connector, an XT60 connector, and hook it to a 12 volt Meanwell type power supply, switching power supply that has like 350 watt output. That way we'll have enough to really push this as far as it'll go, and that way we can proceed with the overclocking madness. We're gonna either push this thing, as far as we can, physically push it to where it'll either bust, break, fry, or we just don't have any headroom left. So that is our plan in the future video. But yeah, tell us what you think of this thing, man. The total price on this, will pop it up on the screen. It's a pretty cheap miner. Comparing this to the NerdQX QX that IXtech offers. Again, theirs is a much more quality. Theirs was more of a first design, of course. They have been ripped off, because that's the normal, you know. If you have a good design that works well, others are gonna take that design, especially in these Chinese marketing places. They have much better attention to detail. They have much better cooler, better components, much better put together, a better presence. If something goes wrong, they will work with you and help you to get it fixed. Customer service. If this thing breaks, you're out the $400-ish or whatever you paid for it, because you're not going to get it fixed. You're not going to get it replaced buying it through Aliexpress. So that is a huge buyer beware. But is it worth the cost versus the other? You tell me. You tell me if the nearly double price on the IXtech is worth the price tag over the cheap Aliexpress version. Tell me down in the comments what you think. Did you pick up one of these? If so, what kind of settings are you running? What kind of hash rate, what kind of efficiency are you running on these? I feel like if we switch out the power supply to a better power supply, we're gonna get a way better efficiency too, so that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, that about wraps it up for today's video. If you like the video, you know what to do. Smash that like button and subscribe for future content. Thanks for coming along and enjoy the ride.